Friends, how are you all doing? Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Okay. So what are we headed on to today? My dear friends, today we are headed on to part 2 of the chapter we were already doing. That is chapter 2, unit 2, theory of consumer behavior. Okay. So everything is second about today's class. The chapter number is 2, the unit number is 2, and the part 1 is also 2. Okay. So now coming back to the topic, what are we discussing? So we are discussing theory of consumer behavior. What was our focus? Can you tell me? Can you remind me, guys? Yes, sir, we can definitely remind you. The focus of this particular topic was to arrive at consumer's equilibrium. That is the point where consumer will achieve maximum satisfaction. What is the objective of this chapter? To arrive where? To arrive at consumer equilibrium. The point of maximum satisfaction for the consumer. The point of maximum satisfaction for the consumer. That is consumer equilibrium. Acha, is that so, sir? Yes, that is so, my dear friends. That is so, you are absolutely correct. Yes, sir. Now coming back to the topic. What did we discuss in part 1? Part 1 was focused on Marshallian approach, also called the cardinal approach, to arriving at consumer equilibrium. What we studied in part 1? In part 1, we studied that there are two kinds of worlds. One commodity world, and then there is two commodity world. In one commodity world, how do you arrive at equilibrium? In one commodity world, how do you arrive at equilibrium? The method of arriving at equilibrium is price is equals to marginal utility. And in two commodity world, how do we arrive at equilibrium? Yes, you guessed it right. MUX by PX equals to MUY by PY. That's right, mates. These were the conditions, or I would say the methodology through which we would arrive at equilibrium in the two commodity world. Okay, sir, we get it, sir. Sir, what is it that we are discussing today? Today we are arriving at another approach, also called indifference curve analysis or ordinal approach. It is also called IC, indifference curve analysis. I will write it down for you. It is another approach to arrive at consumer's equilibrium. Here, there are two important things that need to be kept in mind. Number one, that we have to have the knowledge of indifference curve, and second, we have to have the knowledge of budget. Please remember, when we discuss ordinal approach, what do we remember? We remember that here we are taking utility to be ordinal. That is, we cannot assign a numerical value. We cannot assign a numerical value to utility. So here there is only two commodity world. Why? Because you need to arrange things in order. What does it mean, sir? Suppose I keep pasta in front of you, pizza in front of you, noodles in front of you. Let's say you tell me, sir, I will eat pizza, then I'll try to eat pasta, and then maybe I'll eat noodles. So here you have stated your preference. So ranking can be done. Ordinal approach tells us that ranking can be done. Rank dena possible in ordinal approach. But what is not possible? Assigning numerical value to utility, as we were doing under the cardinal approach in the last class. Is that clear, friends? Remember, the utility is following ordinal methodology, wherein it is possible to arrange elements in a particular order. It is possible to arrange elements in a particular order, but they cannot be assigned a numerical value, mind you. They cannot be assigned a numerical value. Ranking is possible under ordinal approach. Rank dena possible hai. Yes, sir. Now, to arrive at equilibrium, we should know two things. Number one, what is indifference curve and every feature of indifference curve, and then we must know about budget line. Once we know this two, then we can arrive at equilibrium in this chapter. Okay, sir, we are ready. So let's go about it, sir. What is indifference curve? First of all, before arriving what is indifference curve, this topic also has certain assumptions. You remember we did cardinal assumptions. So now we are doing ordinal assumptions. Okay, let's hear out some assumptions. Assumption number one is consumer is rational. That is, consumers are aware of their tastes and preferences. They know what they like and they know what they don't like. Utility is assumed to be ordinal in this world. What is utility? Utility is ordinal in this world. Right, sir? Amazing. Then what is the third point, sir? Here, there is transitivity of choice. Sir, what does it mean by transitivity of choice? So let's say there is combination A, combination B, and combination C of two commodities. So if consumer likes combination A more than combination B, and like combination B more than combination C, then it flows from this that consumer will like A more than C. Since he likes A more than B, and since he or she likes B more than C, it means he or she will like A more than C. Acha, that is the logic. Yes, sir, that is the logic. Next is monotonic preferences. Next is monotonic preferences. What does it mean by monotonic preferences? Monotonic preferences means that if a consumer gets more of some commodity, he will always want more. You know, there is a famous, dialogue in, one of the army movies, Dil Mange More. This is exactly monotonic preferences. Dil Mange More. You want more. So suppose you have two combination. Combination A has 10 apples and 5 oranges. Combination B has 10 apples and 8 oranges. So which one has more combination? Which one has more commodity? Commodity A or commodity B? I mean combination A or combination B? Obviously you will tell me that since in combination A there are 10 apples and 5 oranges, but in combination B there are 10 apples and 8 oranges. So we would like 10 apple and 8 oranges more. We would like 10 apple and 8 oranges more. And therefore we will go for combination B. Therefore we will go for combination B. As far as rational means, consumer is logical. They can take their own decisions. This is what the meaning of rational is. My dear friends, is this crystal clear? Yes or no? Come on, everyone. Correct. Correct. So sir, summarize it in Hindi. To summarize indifference curve analysis in Hindi, हम लोग अभी assumptions पढ़ रहे हैं. Assumptions में पहला चीज हम लोग मानकर चल रहे हैं कि कंज्यूमर एक रैशनल इंसान है. रैशनल मतलब उसमें बुद्धि है, वो अपने टेस्ट एंड प्रेफरेंसेस को पहचानता है. दूसरा यूटिलिटी ऑर्डिनल है, मतलब यूटिलिटी को हम लोग नंबर्स के टर्म्स में एक्सप्रेस नहीं कर सकते. तीसरा ट्रांजिटिविटी ऑफ चॉइस है, मतलब अगर एक कंज्यूमर को कॉम्बिनेशन ए ज्यादा पसंद है बी से और बी ज्यादा पसंद है सी से, तो हमेशा उसको ए ज्यादा पसंद होगा सी के मुकाबले. ठीक है. मोनोटोनिक प्रेफरेंसेस का मतलब है कि अगर कंज्यूमर को आप ज्यादा का ऑप्शन दोगे तो कंज्यूमर हमेशा ज्यादा प्रेफर करेगा कम से. जैसे 10 एप्पल 5 ऑरेंज है और 10 एप्पल 8 ऑरेंज है, ज्यादा बढ़िया क्या लगेगा? 10 एप्पल और 8 ऑरेंज. दैट इज द आंसर. अच्छा, ये लॉजिक सर, दैट इज करेक्ट. नाउ सर, these are the assumptions. Very important to study assumptions. Okay. Now, what is indifference curve? Now, the question is, what is indifference curve? Let me give you an example. Okay. See, I'll show you. Pay attention, everyone. Pay attention, friends. Okay. Pay attention, everyone. Here, as you can see, I have shown you 4 different combinations. Do you see it, friends? Do you see it, friends? Yes, sir. There are 4 different combinations. Combination A, B, C and D. Yes, sir, we can definitely see it. Now pay attention, friends. In combination A, the number of apples is 1 and number of oranges is 10. In combination B, number of apples is 2, number of oranges is 7. Combination C, number of apples is 3, oranges is 5. And combination 4, a number of apples is 4, oranges is 4. Yes. So guys, you will agree that as and when we are increasing the consumption of apples, we are reducing the consumption of oranges. Yes or no? Yes, sir. So, sir, so now let me tell you what is the application of so here. Now, what I mean to say is, what I mean to tell you all is, in the first combination, there is 1 apple 10 orange, 2 apple 7 orange, 3 apple 5 orange, and 4 apple 4 orange. In this all 4 combinations, one thing is same. Do you know what? Consumer is equally satisfied. Consumer is equally satisfied. So all the combinations satisfy the hunger of consumer. So if you give the consumer 1 apple and 10 oranges, the amount of satisfaction they feel will be equivalent to 2 apples, 7 oranges, or maybe 3 apple, 5 oranges, and 4 apple, 4 oranges. So what is different about this 4 combination? That is, what is different is there are different number of apples and oranges. But what is common about each one of them combinations? What is common about each one of them combinations? What is common is each combination results in same level of satisfaction. Each combination is generating the equal amount of satisfaction or same level of satisfaction. That is common in each combination that we see here. That is common in each combination that we see here. Is it crystal clear, friends? What say? Come on, everyone. Is it crystal clear, friends? Yes or no? Yes, sir. So each one of this combination is giving equal level of satisfaction. Each one of this combination is giving equal level of satisfaction. Right? So combination A, the satisfaction that it will give will be equal to B, will be equal to C, will be equal to D. Yes. All will give the same level of satisfaction. This is indifference curve. So when you plot a curve, what is indifference curve? Indifference curve is basically a curve which shows various combination of two commodities. So here it is combination A, it is combination B, C and D, and you join this combination. Indifference curve is the curve that you get when you join this combination. So we can say indifference curve is a curve that shows various combination of two commodities that give the same level of satisfaction. Acha, sir, meaning that in this indifference curve, on this indifference curve, no matter what combination you take E, you take F, you take G, one thing is for sure. Yes, the commodities number may increase. That is, apple may increase, oranges may reduce, or oranges may increase, apple may reduce. But one thing is for sure. What is that one thing for sure? That one thing for sure is that in each combination, consumer has achieved the same level of satisfaction. Same level of satisfaction. So what is the key thing to remember in indifference curve? That on an indifference curve, all the points, on an indifference curve, all the points, on an indifference curve, all the points give the same level of satisfaction. On an indifference curve, all the points give the same level of satisfaction. अच्छा, मतलब इंडिफरेंस कर्व एक ऐसा कर्व है, इसमें आप अलग अलग कॉम्बिनेशंस को ज्वाइन करते हो, जैसे ए है, बी है, सी है और डी है. यहाँ पे वाई भी एक कमोडिटी है, एक्स भी एक कमोडिटी है. जैसे एक्स एक्सिस पर एप्पल्स है और वाई एक्सिस पर आपके ऑरेंजेस है. एप्पल्स बढ़ रहे हैं, ऑरेंजेस घट रहे हैं, ठीक है ना. तो जब एप्पल्स बढ़ रहे हैं और ऑरेंजेस घट रहे हैं ना, वो हो रहा होगा, हर अलग अलग कॉम्बिनेशन में होगा, बिल्कुल सही है. बट जो भी कॉम्बिनेशन आप चूज कर रहे हो, यानी कि एक एप्पल 10 ऑरेंज या 2 एप्पल 7 ऑरेंज, हर कॉम्बिनेशन के बारे में एक चीज सही है, और वो क्या है कि आपको जो सेटिस्फेक्शन लेवल मिल रहा है वो सेम है. आपको जो सेटिस्फेक्शन लेवल मिल रहा है वो हर कॉम्बिनेशन में सेम है. Yes, that is the key point. Same satisfaction in each combination. What is different in each combination? The quantity of commodities. Like in combination A, there is 1 apple and 10 orange. In combination B, there is 2 apple and 7 oranges. Yes, that is different. Yes, that is different. But what is same? That is each one of them give the same level of satisfaction to the consumer. I know I have repeated it around about 10 to 15 times. It is for you to remember that indifference curve is a curve showing various combination of two commodities that give the same level of satisfaction. Is that clear, friends? Yes. Only combinations which give same satisfaction will be plotted on one indifference curve. Now let me plot for you another indifference curve. Let's say I plot another indifference curve. Here it is. Let's name it IC2. Or maybe for that matter, let's plot another indifference curve, IC3. Okay. Now you can see IC1 is there, IC2 is there, IC3 is there. Now as you go higher and higher, the combination quantity increases. It is called the indifference map. So a set of indifference curves taken together is called the indifference map. So what is an indifference map? When you plot a lot of indifference curves together, that is called the indifference map. When you plot a lot of them together, it is called the indifference map. Acha, is this what the indifference map is, sir? Yes, my dear friends, that is what the indifference map is. Sir, we got it, sir. That is indifference map. You got it, sir. So indifference map is when you have many indifference curves. Obviously, yes, sir. And you tell me, guys, which indifference curve will give more satisfaction? Higher indifference curve or lower indifference curve? Obviously, higher indifference curve. Sir, why? Suppose let me draw for you a diagram. Okay. Okay. Pay attention, everybody. I am drawing a diagram for you all. It will be clear. Pay attention, guys. Let me draw a diagram for you. Okay. So let me draw two indifference curve. Remember, higher indifference curve gives more satisfaction And the set of indifference curve is called indifference map. Now suppose, let me change the color. Let me use this color and show it to you. Here you can see what? Here you can see what? Here let's plot, here let's plot oranges and here let's plot apples. Okay. So what do you see here? Suppose here there are 2 apples and 3 oranges on indifference curve 1. Yes, all the points on indifference curve will give same satisfaction. That is okay. But we move to the right indifference curve now. Let me take this point even a little further. Now here, in this one, in this earlier combination, what was there? There were 3 oranges. There were 2 apples and 3 oranges. Agreed? But let's move on and let's come to this point. Here also, there are 3 oranges. That is correct. But let's say the apples are 4. So 4 apples are there. It means, in what did you see? We studied monotonic preferences. So you give the consumer of 2, 3 and 4, 3. Which one will the consumer prefer? Obviously, whichever is more. We studied, that is called monotonic preferences. Ye dil mange more. More the better. The more the better. The more the better. So consumer will like 4, 3 more. And therefore, they will like to shift to IC2. Obviously, because higher indifference curve contains more quantity. Higher indifference curve contains more quantity. Higher indifference curve contains more quantity. That is the logic. That is the logic, my dear friends. Is that crystal clear, friends? Yes or no, please? Yes or no, please? Because more the better. Why is higher indifference curve giving more satisfaction? Because consumer can get more quantity of a commodity without having to sacrifice anything else. Like for example, here oranges are 3 in both the cases. So oranges were not reduced, but apples increased from 2 to 4. So higher indifference curve means more satisfaction. And one more thing you remember. What is a set of indifference curves called? Let me ask you an MCQ question. What is the set of indifference curve called? I am not giving you options. You all tell me. What is the set of indifference curves called? What is the set of indifference curve called? Come on, everybody, answer me. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The set of indifference curve is called indifference map. So when you see a lot of indifference curve plotted on a graph paper, that is indifference map, that is you are seeing basically. You are correct, everybody. So some answers, our friend Kevin gave the correct answer, followed by Shruti gave the correct answer, Ritu gave the correct answer, Samina gave the correct answer, Aryan correct answer, Aditya correct answer, Surya correct answer. So yes. And then there was Shruti, okay, correct answer. So correct. Very good, guys. Now moving on. Now we are studying something called marginal rate of substitution. Sir, what we are studying? We are studying, my dear friends, marginal rate of substitution. Sir, what is marginal rate of substitution? Can you tell us? Yes, definitely. For that matter, I will tell you. Pay attention, everybody. Pay attention, everybody. Now I am telling you marginal rate of substitution. So pay attention, everybody. Pay attention here. What is MRS? What is MRS? Marginal rate of substitution. Let's see. Marginal rate of substitution. Marginal rate of substitution. My dear friends, pay attention, everybody. Okay. Like in this case, when you see the diagram here, what did I show you? Apples were 1, 2, 3, 4. Apples were 1, 2, 3, 4. Apples were 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, sir. And oranges were 10, 7, 5, 4. Oranges were 10, 7, 5, 4. Now, guys, what is marginal rate of substitution? Pay attention here. I am calculating it for you. A and B. Okay, sir. So now what does it mean? Please pay attention, everyone. So when I say MRS of AB, what is MRS of AB? You know what is MRS of AB? It means marginal rate of substitution of A, right? Now what does it mean? It means to gain A, to gain 1 unit of A, to gain 1 unit of A, because I told you marginal means additional. Marginal means additional by 1 more. Marginal means additional by 1 more. एक से ज्यादा. So pay attention. To gain 1 unit of A, how many units of B you are ready to sacrifice? How many units of B you are ready to sacrifice? One is ready to sacrifice. One is ready to sacrifice. How many units? That is what we are discussing here. So if you pay attention, my dear friends, in this particular case, to gain 1 of A, obviously for first unit we will not comment, but as you move from 1 apple to 2, the B has reduced from 10 to 7. So you have reduced it by 3 units. Again, you have reduced, for increasing it by 1, you have reduced it by 2 units. Again, to increase it by 1, you have reduced it by 1 unit. That is marginal rate of substitution. MRS of AB. MRS of AB. That is to gain A, how many B sacrificed? To gain A, how many B sacrificed? To gain A, how many B sacrificed? How many B sacrificed? Okay. Sir, we get it, sir. Sir, we get it, sir. So it is basically the quantity that you are sacrificing. It is basically the quantity that you are sacrificing. So whenever you are saying marginal rate of substitution of AB, you must always write it is nothing but marginal utility of A divided by marginal utility of B. Remember this equation first. This is the most important equation, and this is how you compute. This is how you compute. We get it, sir. That is marginal rate of substitution. That is marginal rate of substitution. Is that clear, friends? So, sir, we have understood how we calculate the sacrifice, how we write the marginal rate of substitution A. It is written as MUA by MUB. MUA by MUB. I hope it's crystal clear, sir. Yes, sir. To gain 1 of X, how many of B you are ready to give up? That is basically the entire drama. That is basically the entire picture. Sir, we got it, sir. So once you have got it, friends, now let's talk about indifference curve properties. Are you ready, my dear friends? Are you ready, friends, to learn the properties of indifference curve? If you are ready, tell me, guys. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So first property is indifference curve is always sloping downward to the right. You all see this shape now? Don't you see? I am drawing this indifference curve. It is always going downwards. Can't you see this? Look at this movement. It is always sloping downwards. Can any one of you tell me why? Hint, demand was also sloping downwards. The reason is, whenever you are increasing one commodity, you are having to sacrifice another commodity. Due to this inverse relationship between the commodities, that is to increase one, you have to sacrifice the other. Because of this relationship, because of this fact, because of this relationship, because of this fact, because of this relationship, because of this fact, you get what you get. That is the inverse shaped curve. That is the inverse shaped curve. Is that clear, my dear friends? Is that clear, my dear friends? Yes or no, please? Yes, Sanchay, absolutely. Got it, sir. So why does indifferent curve slope downward? Because of inverse relationship. Write it down, everybody. Please remember it. Why does indifference curve slope downward from left to right? The reason is inverse relationship between commodities. The reason is inverse relationship between commodities. Due to inverse relationship between two commodities, that is, in order to increase one, you are having to sacrifice the other. That is, in order to increase the combination of quantity of one, you have to sacrifice the other. And that's why indifference curve is downward sloping. As you can see now, in this given case also, that we had 1 apple and 10 oranges. That is, we had 1 apple and there was 10 oranges. So there was 1 apple and then there was 10 oranges. Now when apple increased, oranges reduced. Again when apple increased, oranges reduced. Again when apple increased, oranges reduced. Because of this, the opposite relationship, that is, one is rising, the other is falling, we have downward sloping indifference curve. I hope that's crystal clear. That is crystal clear, I believe. Yes, sir, we do agree. We do agree. We do agree, sir. Moving on, sir. Moving on, sir. Moving on, sir. Indifference curve, as you must have seen, is convex to the origin. Sir, what does it mean? We did not understand the meaning of convex. Let me give you an example, guys. My dear friends, if I draw a downward sloping curve, it could have been like this, or I could have drawn the curve like this. Yes or no, friends? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It could have been like this as well. It could have been direct downward sloping, or it could have been like this as well. Huh, sir. So, sir, there is a simple question that I'm asking. I have a simple question that you have to answer. Yes, sir. Please tell us. The simple question is, if both are downward sloping, do you see any difference? Yes. In one, there is a straight downward sloping. This is called a straight downward sloping curve. Straight downward sloping curve. Straight downward sloping curve. That is a straight downward sloping curve. But as you see this one, is it a straight downward sloping curve? Do you think so? Is it a straight downward sloping curve? Do you really think so? No, it's not a shape. It is the shape called convex. This shape is what we call as convex. This shape is what we commonly call as convex. Convex to the origin for that matter. This is the shape that you call convex to the origin. Acha, is that so, sir? Yes, my dear friends, that is so. That is the case. Sir, got it, sir. Got it. All of you must have gotten it, sir. Yes, sir, we did get it. That here you are talking about convexity of curves. Here you are talking about convexity of curves. Is that so, sir? Yes, that is so, my dear friend. So the curves are convex to the origin, and therefore we have explained the same. Got it, sir. Moving on. Now, sir, why is it convex to the origin? The shape is called convex. The shape is called convex. But the question is, why is it convex? It is downward sloping, but why is it convex? You see, MRS. I am writing down MRS. Okay, you see. You all tell me. Is MRS constant or declining? See. For one increase, 3 sacrificed. For one increase, 2 sacrificed. For one increase, 1 sacrificed. You all tell me, is MRS constant or declining? Is MRS constant or declining? Is MRS constant or declining? MRS is declining. That is the game. That is the reason. So if somebody asks you, why is it convex to the origin? Because you will say the MRS is declining. My dear friends, pay attention. Pay attention, everyone. If the MRS would have been constant, like example, ICI can ask you, how will be the diagram of indifference curve if MRS is constant? So my dear friends, if MRS is constant, then it will be a downward sloping straight line. It will not be convex to the origin. It will still be downward sloping because sacrifice is still there. But since it's not in the decreasing nature, and therefore it will be a downward sloping straight line. Oh, sir, we got it. So therefore we must say it is convex to the origin because of declining MRS. Achha. Now, many of you may ask me, sir, why is MRS not constant? I mean, why is MRS falling? Because you see, initially we had 1 apple and 10 oranges. Now we want apple with great vigor because we have only 1. So when we get 1 apple, we are ready to give up 3 oranges. But since now we have 2 apple, we are relatively relaxed. So now when we increase consumption of 1 more apple, yes, we will have to give up some oranges, but not that much we are willing to give up because now reasonably we have apples. So therefore we are ready to give up only 2 oranges here. But then if we want 1 more apple, now to get 1 more apple, we are not ready to sacrifice many oranges because already I am having 3. This is also like law of diminishing marginal utility. As and when we are having more and more apples, our desire to pay the cost for it in terms of oranges is falling down. Why? Because as and when we are getting more apple, our desire to have more apple is falling down. Since our desire to have even more apple is falling down, therefore this diminishing MRS. Is that crystal clear, friends? Yes or no? Yes or no, please? Yes or no, please? Come on, friends. Yes, MRS is declining. And why is it declining? Because as when we are having 1 more commodity of 1 more unit of a commodity, our willingness to sacrifice for the same keeps on falling down. Our willingness to give up keeps on falling down. And hence your answer. And hence your answer. Is that clear, friends? Yes, sir. It is crystal clear indeed. It is crystal clear. Now, sir, can I summarize it in Hindi? Yes, sir. देखिए, MRS convex to the origin क्यों है? MRS convex to the origin इसलिए है because MRS जो है वो constantly गिर रहा है. Indifference curve convex to the origin क्यों था? ऐसा शेप क्यों था, सीधा डाउनवर्ड क्यों नहीं गिर रहा? अगर एमआरएस कांस्टेंट होता ना तो सीधा गिरता, बट ऐसे टेढ़ा गिर रहा है। इसका रीजन है एमआरएस जो है वो कॉन्स्टेंटली कम होते जाता है। एमआरएस कम क्यों होते जाता है? क्योंकि देखिए जैसे जैसे आपके पास एप्पल बढ़ते जा रहा है, आप एप्पल के लिए जो सेक्रीफाइस करने को तैयार हो वो कम होते जा रहा है। फिर से बोल रहा हूं, जैसे जैसे आपके पास एप्पल बढ़ते जा रहा है, उस एप्पल के लिए जो आपको ऑरेंज गिव अप करना पड़ रहा है वो आप कम करोगे। क्यों? क्योंकि जैसे जैसे आपके पास ज्यादा एप्पल आते जा रहा है, आपका विलिंगनेस टू हैव मोर एप्पल, आपका इच्छा कि आपके पास और एप्पल हो, वो कम होते जा रहा है। एंड इसलिए एमआरएस या जो सेक्रीफाइस का रेशियो है वो कॉन्स्टेंटली गिरते चला जा रहा है। इस वजह से कॉन्वेक्स शेप मिलता है अपने को, इस वजह से अपने को कॉन्वेक्स शेप मिलता है। इज दैट क्लियर माय डियर फ्रेंड्स? यस और नो प्लीज, यस और नो प्लीज, कम ऑन फ्रेंड्स, यस और नो प्लीज। हिंदी में भी बोल दिए हैं, वी हैव समराइज्ड इट इन हिंदी एज वेल। ग्रेट सर। नाउ सर, वन मोर इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग, exceptions. Now we are discussing what exceptions. It is in institute material also. These are called extreme situations. Extreme situations. So before I teach you extreme situations, let me revise for you normal situation. What is the normal situation? The normal situation is, what is the normal situation? The normal situation is that this is the curve and indifference curve will be convex to the origin. Thank you very much. Convex. Why is it convex? Because of MRS constantly declining. That is it. But now, are you ready for extreme situations? Are you ready for extreme situations? Yes or no? Yes, sir, we are ready. Let's go ahead and let's discuss the extreme scenarios. So there are two extreme scenarios. Case A, when the goods are perfect substitutes of one another. When the goods are perfect substitutes of one another. Normally, see, apple is not a perfect substitute of orange because taste of apple is different from orange. The nutrient of apple is different from nutrient of orange. So they are not exactly the perfect substitutes of one another. Yes or no? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They're not exactly the perfect substitutes of one another. That's right, sir. So now, extreme situations. A. Extreme situation A. When the goods are perfect substitutes of one another. Extreme situation A or extreme situation B. When fixed proportion is important. When fixed proportion is important. When fixed proportion is important. In this cases, my dear friends, indifference curve will have a different shape. In this case, my dear friends, indifference curve will have a different shape. Sir, can you tell us the two extremes? Yes, my dear friends, I'll tell you the two extremes. Pay attention, everybody. Pay attention, everybody. Now, suppose. Here is good y, here is good x. If they are perfect substitutes of one another, if they are perfect substitutes of one another, then it will not matter, and therefore indifference curve will be a straight line, downward sloping, boom, like this. Then, so when is indifference curve downward sloping straight line? There are two cases. Number one, when MRS is constant, here MRS is constant, and number two, when goods are perfect substitutes of one another. As you can clearly see, when goods are perfect substitutes of one another. Here goods are perfect substitutes of one another. यहाँ पर goods perfect substitutes है एक दूसरे के, and therefore this curve. Therefore this curve. I hope it's crystal clear. We could say, somehow we can say perfect substitutes. We could say, you know, let me go ahead and say shoes off. No, let's not go into shoes. Let's say Sprite and 7-Up maybe. Sprite and 7-Up. They are perfect substitutes, let's say. Okay? Or soda, or let's say lime soda at home, lime soda in the shop. Perfect substitutes. Now I know you cannot say it to be exact, but let's assume them to be perfect. If they are perfect, then whichever you consume will not matter. So therefore, it will be a straight downward sloping line. I hope it is crystal clear, mates. If it is crystal clear, then I can move forward. Please allow me to. If you are ready, yes or no, friends? Come on, guys, yes or no? Correct. Now, yes, you can say tea and coffee as well. Now, where fixed proportion is important, pay attention, friends. Pay attention, friends. Let me ask you one question. Let me ask you one function. For the time being, no change in brand is not a perfect substitute. It would not be called so. Okay. Why is fixed proportion important? Now pay attention. I'll give you an example. Pay attention. My dear friends, here is bundle A. Bundle A. Okay. Here there is left shoe. Here there is right shoe. There is left shoe. There is right shoe. Okay. Pay attention, everyone. Now I am giving you an example of fixed proportion being important. Suppose combination A. So combination A is telling you have one left shoe, you have one right shoe. Combination B is telling you have two left shoe, you have two right shoe. Combination C is telling you have four left shoe, two right shoe. So you have more of another commodity. But will you like combination B more or combination C more? What do you think? Which one will you like more? Here you have more of one without having to sacrifice other. Still, which one you will like more? Yes, you people are correct. Sir, come on. Whenever you wear shoes, both of them are important. So here combination C will not be liked by the consumer. Because here they are perfect complementary to each other. They are perfect complementary to each other. That is, without left shoe, there is no use of right shoe, and vice versa. So they are perfectly complementary to each other. Here they were perfect substitutes of each other. Here they are perfect complements of each other. Here they are perfect complements of each other. And so, my dear friends, your answer has been stated accordingly. And so, my dear friends, your answer has been stated accordingly. Got it, sir. Got it, sir. So therefore, when fixed proportion is important, which is also called fixed complementary goods. What is it also called? Fixed complementary goods. What is it also called, sir? It's also called fixed complementary goods. Acha. Now what do you see here? Now what do you see here? Pay attention, friends. What do you see here? Pay attention, friends. Let me draw it for you. I have drawn this. I have drawn this. Now what will happen? Pay attention. The curve here, indifference curve, will look like this. Like this. Again, like this. Because they will move exactly the same, each commodity. So here the IC curve will be like 90 degree to each other, perpendicular to one another. Please remember these two exceptional cases. So here is the summary of entire thing. You may take a screenshot if you want to, or you may note it down if you want to, whatever works for you. This is the normal case where MRS is constantly falling and hence the convexity. And the other two are extreme or exceptional cases. These are all the discussion on indifference curve, different shapes. Indifference curve, different shapes. Yes or no, please? Yes or no, please? Come on, guys. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Crystal clear, sir. Absolutely crystal clear. So, my dear friends, if that's crystal clear, I think you have won the game. Please confirm. Yes. Sir, we have confirmed it. So, we have understood this. So, there are two features as of now that we have understood of indifference curve. Number one is, normally speaking, indifference curve slopes downwards to the right. Case number one. And what is case number two? Case number two. Case number two is, it is convex to the origin. It is convex to the origin. It is convex to the origin. And then, therefore, it is declining MRS. Okay. What are the two extreme situations? Option A, when they are perfect substitute, then it will be downward sloping. Option B, when they are having perfect complements. What is perfect complement? Arey Baba, left shoe is there, right shoe is there. So you will want one left shoe, then one right shoe. If two left shoes, then two right shoes. You will not like having three left shoes and four right shoes, right? This is what we are saying. And so the curve will be like this. So 2 points, 2 features we have studied so far. Okay. Point number 3. Higher indifference curve gives higher satisfaction. Sir, this too you have already explained us. Yes. Higher indifference curve gives higher satisfaction. Once more, sir, higher indifference curve gives higher satisfaction. So let me give you an example here. Let me give you an example here. Okay, like this case only. Let me draw another indifference curve for you. Okay, so sir, now you have drawn two indifference curve. See what is happening here. Here there is combination A. Let's write this to be combination A. Okay, let's write this to be combination A. Let's say here there are 2 of product X and 5 of product Y. Okay, now let's extend it a bit further and let's come here. Now here what is happening? There is 5 of Y and 4 of X. So here it is 4, 5 in combination B, and in combination A it is 2, 5. In B it is 4, 5. Now you will tell me, as a rational consumer, you will like A more or B more? Tell me, which one will you like more? Combination A more or combination B more? आपको कौन सा combination पसंद आएगा? Obviously combination B, which is on the higher indifference curve, yes or no? Because in combination B, you are getting more of product A without having to sacrifice product B. So whenever you get more, you go for it. Isn't it, sir? It is also called non-satiable demands, right? And therefore, higher indifference curve gives higher satisfaction. So till now I have taught you 3 features. Number 1, indifference curve is sloping downward. Number 1. Number 2, MRS is declining and so it is convex to the origin. Point number 1, indifference curve is downward sloping. Number 2, it is convex to the origin. Number 1, it is downward sloping. Number 2, it is convex to the origin. And number 3, higher indifference curve, higher satisfaction. Higher indifference curve, higher satisfaction. So 3 features we have done so far. Indifference curve is downward sloping, feature number 1. Number 2, indifference curve is convex to the origin, feature number 2. And number 3, higher indifference curve, higher satisfaction. I want each one of you to write down in the chat all the 3 features in short form. Only then I will move to 4th feature. Come on, everybody, write it down in the chat. Feature number 1, indifference curve is downward sloping. Number 2, it is declining MRS, so convex to the origin. Feature 2 is convex to the origin. And feature 3, higher indifference curve means higher satisfaction. Come on, everybody. Come on, everybody. Only when you write it down, I'll move to the 4th one. Come on, friends. Come on, everyone. Yes, sir. It's crystal clear. Yes, sir. It's crystal clear. So now let's discuss this one. Absolutely, you people have written it. Correct. Number 1 was downward sloping. Number 2, convex to the origin. Come on. What is it? Number 1 was downward sloping. Number 2 was convex to the origin. And number 3, higher indifference curve gives higher satisfaction. Higher indifference curve gives higher satisfaction. Is that clear, friends? Come on in the chat, everybody. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Great. So once it's crystal clear, friends, let me explain you. 2 indifference curves can never intersect one another. What did I tell you? 2 indifference curves can never intersect one another. Let me help you out with the particular explanation. What is the 4th one? 2 indifference curves can never intersect one another. Huh? Let me explain. Let's say I've drawn this. Okay. Now, here you have commodity Y, here you have commodity X. Okay. Now, what is happening here is, pay attention, friends. Suppose, let's assume that yes, 2 indifference curves can intersect. For the sake of assumption, just write can intersect. Let's assume. Suppose this is indifference curve 1. And then there is indifference curve 2. Okay. Now, I am plotting 3 combinations. Combination A, which lies on both indifference curve. Combination B, which lies on this indifference curve. And combination C, which lies on this indifference curve. A is common to both and B is solely lying in IC2 and C is solely lying in IC1. Okay? Yes, sir. We are assuming that let's two indifference curve intersect each other. Okay? Now pay attention again. Guys, what did we study? On a single indifference curve, all combination gives same satisfaction. Guys, if you look carefully, can you see IC1? Can you see IC1? Yes, IC1 we can see. Acha, let me draw IC1 with separate color. Let me draw it using yellow color. Now you all can see IC1 and IC2. In IC1 you see there is combination A and then there is combination C. Yes or no on IC1? On IC1. Yes sir, that's correct. So on IC1, combination A and C are giving same satisfaction. On IC1, combination A and C are giving same satisfaction. Okay sir. Moving on. On IC2, if you look carefully on IC2, you will find out combination A and B are giving same satisfaction, because we know on an indifference curve, on a particular indifference curve, no matter how many infinite points you plot, on a particular indifference curve, all the points will always give same level of satisfaction. On a particular indifference curve, all the points will give the same level of satisfaction. On a particular indifference curve, all the points will give the same level of satisfaction. On a particular indifference curve, all the points will give the same level of satisfaction. Yes or no, guys? Yes, sir. On a particular indifference curve, all the points will give the same level of satisfaction. Yes, sir, that's right. Yes, sir, that's right. So now what I'm trying to tell you, pay attention, everybody. Pay attention, everybody. If A is giving the same satisfaction as C and A is giving the same satisfaction as B, therefore it follows that B will give the same level of satisfaction as C. Yes, but if you look carefully, B is higher than C. B is higher than C. So B must give more satisfaction. As we have seen, higher indifference curve gives higher satisfaction. Our assumption led us to believe that B and C gave same satisfaction. Our assumption led us to believe that B and C gave the same level of satisfaction, while our knowledge tells us that higher indifference curve gives higher satisfaction. So here there is contradiction. And since there is contradiction, we can say two indifference curves can never intersect each other, because obviously combination B will give more satisfaction than combination C. So the logic that B and C give same satisfaction is absolutely incorrect. Is it clear? Now I will tell this in Hindi as well. I will explain this in Hindi as well. But is it crystal clear, friends? Okay, sir. Okay. अब मैं हिंदी में बता रहा हूं आपको, थोड़ा सा ध्यान से सुनिएगा, फोकस कीजिएगा. अब मैं हिंदी में बता रहा हूं पॉइंट 4 को, ठीक है? शांति से सुनिए. देखिए, मैंने आपको बताया कि दो इंडिफरेंस कर्व कभी भी इंटरसेक्ट नहीं कर सकते. तो सर ये प्रूफ कैसे किया हमने कहा कि चलो मान लो कि दो इंडिफरेंस कर्व्स इंटरसेक्ट कर सकते हैं. चलो मान लो कि दो इंडिफरेंस कर्व्स इंटरसेक्ट कर सकते हैं, कैन इंटरसेक्ट. ठीक है, मान लिया. अब आप लोग देखो, अगर आप लोग IC1 देखोगे, कर्व को ध्यान से देखना, येलो कर्व को. अगर आप येलो कर्व IC1 को देखोगे तो आपको दिखेगा A और C दोनों इसी कर्व पर लाई कर रहे हैं, और जो भी पॉइंट्स सेम कर्व पे लाई करेंगे सेम सेटिस्फेक्शन देंगे. ये इंडिफरेंस कर्व का डेफिनेशन है. तो कॉम्बिनेशन A और कॉम्बिनेशन C सेम सेटिस्फेक्शन दे रहा है. वैसे ही आप लोग अब IC2 को देखो, IC2 पर A B और B भी है, तो उस हिसाब से A और B सेम सेटिस्फेक्शन दे रहा है. उस हिसाब से A और B सेम सेटिस्फेक्शन दे रहा है. तो अगर A और B सेम सेटिस्फेक्शन दे रहा है, A और C सेम सेटिस्फेक्शन दे रहा है, तो मतलब A B और C तीनों इक्वल सेटिस्फेक्शन दे रहा है. इसका मतलब क्या निकल कर आया? इसका मतलब ये निकल कर आया कि कॉम्बिनेशन B और कॉम्बिनेशन C दोनों सेम सेटिस्फेक्शन दे रहा है. इसका मतलब कॉम्बिनेशन B और कॉम्बिनेशन C दोनों सेम सेटिस्फेक्शन दे रहा है. हाँ सर, कॉम्बिनेशन B और C सेम सेटिस्फेक्शन दे रहा है, तो लेकिन ये तो गलत हो गया ना. क्यों? क्योंकि अपने पढ़े थे कि अगर जो कॉम्बिनेशन राइट में होगा या हायर होगा वो ज्यादा सेटिस्फेक्शन देगा. तो B C से ज्यादा सेटिस्फेक्शन दे रहा है, तो यहाँ हो गया दोगलापन. क्या हो गया? दोगलापन. क्यों? क्योंकि अपने एक तरफ तो बोल रहे हैं कि B और C सेम सेटिस्फेक्शन दे रहा है, और अभी अपने पढ़े थे कि हायर इंडिफरेंस कर्व ज्यादा सेटिस्फेक्शन देगा, मतलब B को C से ज्यादा सेटिस्फेक्शन देना चाहिए क्योंकि B C से हायर है. तो मतलब हमारा जो शुरुआत में assumption था वही गलत था कि टू इंडिफरेंस कर्व्स इंटरसेक्ट कर सकते हैं, ये बात ही गलत था। तो कंक्लूजन आया टू इंडिफरेंस कर्व्स कैन नेवर इंटरसेक्ट। अब क्लियर हो जाना चाहिए, हाँ या ना एवरीवन, हाँ या ना एवरीवन? यस सर, इट्स क्रिस्टल क्लियर। यस सर, इट्स क्रिस्टल क्लियर। कम ऑन एवरीवन। अच्छा, got it sir. Number 5, which is obvious, I'll add one more assumption to this, that indifference curve will never touch the axis. Indifference curve will never touch the axis. Okay, so here you have it. Indifference curve will never touch the axis. Okay, pay attention guys. Indifference curve will never touch the axis. This is very obvious. Will never touch the axis, meaning y-axis and x-axis. So suppose you have your y-axis here, you have your x-axis here. Suppose you are telling that it is touching the axis, something like this, something like this. Let me use a different color, something like this. Okay, something like this. Now pay attention friends. If it touches y-axis, it means at this combination consumer is consuming y only and no x. So there is 0x being consumed and only y being consumed. And if consumer is touching here, let it be assumption D, then here consumer is consuming only x and 0 y. But what assumption did we take? We were taking two commodity world. What assumption did we take? We were taking two commodity world. Yes, that's right. We were taking two commodity world. So friends, when we were taking two commodity world, pay attention friends, pay attention friends, right? So when we were taking two commodity worlds, I'll write it down here, two commodity world. When I was saying two commodity world, pay attention everyone. So if you take combination A, then it will mean X will be 0, only Y will be there. It will become a question of one commodity world, which is not true in case of ordinal approach, which is not true in case of ordinal approach, which is not true in case of ordinal approach. And therefore, it is incorrect to say so. Therefore, it is incorrect to say so. Acha sir, is that so? Yes, my dear friends, that is so. I hope it's crystal clear. Yes, sir, the logic is crystal clear. What you have said is absolutely clear. Fantastic. So, my dear friends, since it's crystal clear, let's move forward. Let's move forward. Okay? Let's move forward. So, all the assumptions are over. So, there are 5 assumptions. Let's summarize the assumptions. Let me write down the assumption summary. Assumption summary. So, if we draw the assumption summary, number 1. First assumption was indifference curve is what sloping? That's right, you are correct. You are correct. Sir, indifference curve is downward sloping. You are absolutely correct in saying so. That's right. Indifference curve is downward sloping. Number 2. Two indifference curves never intersect. I am not stating it in the exact order, I know that. Number 3. Indifference curve is what to the origin? Generally speaking, convex to the origin, apart from the two extreme situation of perfect substitutes and perfect complements. Okay. Assumption number 4, higher IC, higher satisfaction. High IC, higher satisfaction. This is the another one. And number 5, indifference curve will never touch the axis. Will never touch the axis. This is the 5 assumption summary. Correct. That's correct. Obviously, we will solve some MCQs. But first of all, I am explaining things. So let's focus on that only. Yes, sir. Acha, remember one more thing, guys. If somebody asks you, what is the slope of indifference curve? Somebody asks you, what is slope of indifference curve? Please remember, slope of indifference curve is MRS, marginal rate of substitution. What is slope of indifference curve? MRS, marginal rate of substitution. If somebody asks you, what is the slope of indifference curve? Then please remember MRS, that is the slope of indifference curve. That is the slope of indifference curve. MRS, MRS, MRS. Marginal rate of substitution. Yes, sir, that's crystal clear. Is it? Yes, sir. Okay. So before I move forward, let me ask you some question. Let me ask you some question. The question is very simple. The question is very simple. The question is very simple. Pay attention, everyone. When we talk about it, let's hear it. Let's hear it. If we talk about it, let me give you a diagram. Okay? Let me give you a diagram. A, B, C. This is IC1. Okay? Pay attention, everyone. Now this is D. Okay? So 2 MCQs I am asking, diagram based question. Question number 1, question A. Right? Which combination will give most satisfaction? Options are number 1, combination A, combination B, combination C, combination D. Which one do you think is the answer, friends? Then I will give a follow-up question. Very good. Some of you are answering and it is correct. Yes, that's right. So most of you are saying, sir, combination D, because it is lying higher. Absolutely correct. Higher indifference curve, higher satisfaction. Moving on. Let's see. Which combination will give least satisfaction? Please look at the question. Which combination will give least satisfaction? A, B, C, or number 4, none. What do you think is the answer? Among A, B, and C, which one of them will give the least satisfaction? Which one do you think will give the least satisfaction? Options are A, B, C, and none. Out of these 4, you will have to say. Come on, everyone. Come on, everyone. Very good. So Nikita has given the correct answer. Sanjay has given the correct answer. Okay, Arvind has given the correct answer. Richa has given the correct answer. Aryan has given the correct answer. Soumya Ranjan has given the correct answer. Many of you have given the correct answer. The answer will be none, because on the same indifference curve, A, B, and C will give equal satisfaction. So how will anybody give least satisfaction? So therefore, the answer will be none, as A, B, and C all give the same level of satisfaction. Is that crystal clear, friends? Yes or no, please? The answer will be none here. Yes, sir. That's correct. Moving on to the next question. Which one of them is the slope of indifference curve? Which one of them is the slope of indifference curve? Which one of them is the slope of indifference curve? A, diminishing marginal utility. Number 2, MRS. C, total utility. D, average utility. Which of them is the slope of indifference curve? What do you think is the correct answer? Come on, everyone. Absolutely correct answer. So the correct answer is MRS. The correct answer is MRS. Now I'll proceed further and then we will come back to some more MCQs. Obviously, we will discuss some more MCQs. Don't worry. But here it is. Let's discuss the next concept, which is budget line. Let's discuss the next concept, which is budget line for that matter. Let's go ahead. Let's discuss budget line, friends. Okay, sir. Go ahead and tell us. What is budget line? If you talk about budget line, my lovely friends, if you talk about budget line, my lovely friends, here it is. Here it is. I'll tell you about the budget line also. Don't worry. We have it here. No? Let's go about it now, then that way only. Yes. What is budget line? My dear friends, budget line is a combination of two commodities. Again, like indifference curve only, sir. Yes. But in indifference curve, all the points on the same indifference curve give the same satisfaction. Here, all the combination on the budget line will cost the same. They may not give same satisfaction. They may not give same satisfaction, but they will always cost the same. So budget line is prepared on the commonality of costs. Since costs are same, points are on the same budget line. In indifference curve, since satisfaction level was same, the combinations were lying on a particular budget, on a particular indifference curve line. So the criteria of points to lie on a budget line is having same cost. The criteria of points lying on the same indifference curve was giving same level of satisfaction. Understood, not understood, friends? Now let me give you an example. Suppose, as the table here suggests, suppose the consumer is having a fixed income of 100 rupees. Suppose the consumer is having a fixed income of 100 rupees, right? Now suppose we have divided it into two parts. Consumer can have ice cream at 20 rupees per unit, or consumer can have chocolates at 10 rupees per unit. Consumer can have ice cream at 20 per unit, or consumer can have chocolate at 10 rupees per unit. Okay. Now, see, consumer can have ice cream at 20 rupees per unit, or consumer can have chocolate at rupees 10 per unit. This is the cost. Now there are, 6 combinations that I have showcased. Case 1, where 0 ice cream, 10 chocolates. The cost was 10 into 10, 100, because cost per chocolate is 10 rupees. Or you can have 1 ice cream and 8 chocolates. 1 ice cream costs 20, so 8 chocolates cost 80 rupees. 8 into 10, again 100. You see, in each of these, when you calculate the total cost, it will always land up to 100. So this 6 combinations, A, B, C, D, E, F, this will lie on the same budget line. Why? They cost the same. Why? They cost the same. The total expenditure is the same, and therefore they will lie on a particular budget line. Acha. Sir, can you explain it in Hindi as well? Okay, I will explain it in Hindi. देखिए, आपके पास 6 पॉइंट्स है, A, B, C, D, E, F. ये सब बजट लाइन पर कब लाई करेंगे? कोई भी पॉइंट्स बजट लाइन पर, कोई भी पॉइंट्स बजट लाइन पर तब लाई करता है जब उस पॉइंट का जो कॉम्बिनेशन है, कॉम्बिनेशन के अंदर जो गुड्स कंज्यूम्ड है, कंटेन्ड है, उनका खर्चा सेम हो. जैसे अब आप लोग देखो कॉम्बो 1 में आइसक्रीम और चॉकलेट, 0 आइसक्रीम 10 चॉकलेट, टोटल खर्चा 100 रुपया. कॉम्बिनेशन बी के अंदर 1 आइसक्रीम 8 चॉकलेट, खर्चा फिर से 100 रुपया. कॉम्बिनेशन सी के अंदर 2 आइसक्रीम और 6 चॉकलेट, खर्चा फिर से 100 रुपया. कॉम्बिनेशन डी के अंदर 3 आइसक्रीम और 4 चॉकलेट, खर्चा फिर से 100 रुपया. तो हर कॉम्बिनेशन के अंदर आप लोग देखो टोटल खर्चा आपका 100 रुपया हो रहा है. तो जिन जगहों पर खर्चा सेम होगा वो सारे पॉइंट सेम बजट लाइन पर लाई करेंगे. सर मतलब बजट लाइन को सेटिस्फेक्शन लेवल से मतलब नहीं है. हाँ, बजट लाइन को सेटिस्फेक्शन लेवल से मतलब नहीं है. बजट लाइन में सिर्फ वो कॉम्बिनेशंस आएंगे जिनका खर्चा सेम होगा. मतलब हर इधर देखो, हर कॉम्बिनेशन 0 आइसक्रीम 10 चॉकलेट, 1 आइसक्रीम 8 चॉकलेट, सब कॉम्बिनेशन में टोटल खर्चा आपका 100 रुपीज ही लग रहा है. आइसक्रीम का कॉस्ट 20 पर यूनिट, चॉकलेट का 10 रुपीज पर यूनिट. अब तो क्लियर है? इज दैट क्लियर फ्रेंड्स? यस और नो? यस और नो फ्रेंड्स? That's right, sir. That's right, sir. Most of you must have understood. Come on, guys. When total expenditure is the same, when total expenditure is the same, price is not same. See, ice cream is 20 per unit, chocolate is 10 per unit. But here, when we plot each combination, Let's say 0 ice cream, 10 chocolates. What is the total expenditure? You will tell me 100. Again, 1 ice cream, 8 chocolate. Total expenditure is 100. So therefore, they will lie on the same budget line. Therefore, they will lie on the same budget line. Understood, sir? Understood, sir. Now, one more thing I want to tell you. See, M is your monetary income, okay, 100 rupees. Now, what is your income equal to? Suppose price of X into quantity of X, because you are assuming two commodities. Similarly, price of Y into quantity of Y. As you can see in each level, suppose in this level, in combination C, 2 units of ice cream. So ice cream was 2 units and the cost of ice cream is 20 per unit. So 20 into 2 plus there were 6 chocolates and chocolate was 10 rupees per chocolate. So 10 into 6. Yes or no? So therefore it was 40 plus 60, which totaled to, yes, you guessed it right. You guessed it right, friends. It was 100. It was how much? It was 100. 40 plus 60 gave us how much? It gave us 100. That's right. And what was your monetary income? 100. So the relation is this. MA monetary income is equals to, we are assuming that we are spending the entire income. Price of X into quantity of X plus price of Y into quantity of Y. We are assuming that entire income is being spent. जो कमा रहे हैं पूरा खर्चा कर दे रहे हैं. Yes, sir, we got it, sir. Understood, sir. It is crystal clear. Now, my dear friends, suppose somebody asks you, let's say chocolate is on y-axis, okay? Let's say chocolate you have plotted on y-axis and ice cream you have plotted on x-axis. So what is the maximum chocolate that you can purchase? So the formula is M by Py. What is the price per chocolate? 10 rupees. So if I spend my entire money on chocolate, 100 by 10, maximum chocolate I can spend is 10 chocolates. I can buy. Maximum chocolates I can buy is 10 chocolates. Yes or no? Yes, sir. Similarly, maximum ice cream I can buy is, if each ice cream costs 20 rupees, if each ice cream is costing, my dear friends, 20 rupees, then maximum number of ice creams I can buy is 100 by 20, which is 5 ice creams. Which is how much? Which is 5 ice cream, as you can clearly see here. Okay, sir, got it, sir. All right, sir. And obviously here also, it is downward sloping. What is it? It is downward sloping, because as one will rise, other will fall. As one will rise, the other will have to fall. As one will rise, the other will have to fall. As one will rise, the other will obviously have to fall. And so it goes without saying. And so it goes without saying. In fact, if they ask you, even if they ask you na MRS, remember MRS, another formula I am telling you. It is price of X by price of Y. So what is plotted on X? Ice cream. So what is the price per ice cream? Price per ice cream is 20 rupees. What is the price per chocolate? 10 rupees. So MRS is 2. So product plotted on X-axis. Price of that product by product plotted on Y-axis. Price per unit of that product. That is also going to give you MRS. So MRS is again PX by PY. Now write it down, everybody. Again, it is PX by PY. Obviously, it is negative. MRS will be negative. Why? Because of the downward sloping curve. Because of the downward sloping curve. Why? To see now here also, to increase ice cream, you had to give up chocolate. And you want to see one thing, what happened? When you increased ice cream by 1, chocolate fall by 2. So MRS is 2. Yes or no? We calculated it how? Oh, just by 20 by 10 2. This is also how you got it. And if you do like this, if one ice cream increases, chocolate fell by 2. Again, you are getting 2. Again, one ice cream increased, chocolate fell by 2. Again by 2. One ice cream increased, again chocolate fell by 2. By 2. Acha, is that so, sir? Yes, my dear friends, that is. Is that clear, guys? And therefore, one is rising, other is falling, and MRS is 2. How did you get MRS? 2 ways. First, the traditional way, you deduct 8 minus 10. Sir, why is it minus 2? You know, a question can be asked, so all of you be ready. Write it down. Why does MRS negative? Why does MRS? Why? I'm writing it down. Everybody note it down, please. The question is, why is MRS negative? Reason. Due to inverse relationship between quantities. Due to inverse relationship between quantity consumed of the two commodities. So if we increase quantity of one, we have to decrease quantity of the other. So what is the formula? MRS is equals to Px by Py. That is the formula. Originally, I had told you MUX by MUY. So that is yet there, but now we have added one more formula to our list. No, Samina has asked, sir, we don't follow two commodity. Well, Samina, I told you, बजट लाइन को किस बात से मतलब है? इस बात से मतलब है कि बजट लाइन पर सारे पॉइंट्स पे खर्चा सेम हो रहा हो. It doesn't care whether you are getting total satisfaction or not. उस बात से तो इंडिफरेंस कर्व को मतलब था. तब वहां टू कमोडिटी वर्ड फॉलो हो रहा था. Remember, budget line doesn't care whether you are consuming two commodity or one. What it cares about is the total cost on all the points on the budget line same? If yes, it can touch the axis. That's why I said indifference curves cannot touch the axis, but budget line can touch the axis. I did not say that budget line can't touch the axis. I said indifference curve can't touch the axis because it focuses on total level of satisfaction that can only be achieved by consuming both commodities. But total cost can be 100 even if you consume one commodity, and therefore they can touch the axis. I hope it's crystal clear, friends. I hope it's crystal clear, friends. Yes. Now, if this is clear, the question, the $1 million question is, how does a consumer arrive at equilibrium in IC analysis, indifference curve analysis, या in ordinal approach? Please write down the answer. Single line I will say. The answer is point of tangency of indifference curve and budget line is the point of tangency of indifference curve and budget line is the equilibrium point. Is the equilibrium point. Is the equilibrium point. Indifference curve and budget line is the indifference curve. Yes, Kevin. Correct. Point of tangency of IC and budget line is the equilibrium point. Sir, meaning, now let me explain what I have written. Let me explain. See, all of you will agree, every consumer will have only one budget because they have only one monetary income, right? Whatever it be. Now, there are many indifference curves. There are many indifference curves. IC1, suppose I draw another. IC2, suppose I draw another. Suppose I draw another. Right? IC3, then I draw another IC4. So I have drawn 4 points. I have drawn 4 points. Now, if I have drawn 4 points, you will tell me here which is the tangency point. Which is the tangency point? This is x-axis, this is y-axis. Which is the tangency point? This is the tangency point. This point C that I am saying. So this will be the equilibrium point. Point C that we have here will be our equilibrium point. Point C that we have here will be our equilibrium point. Acha, is that so, sir? Yes, that is so, my dear friends. That will be the equilibrium point. That will be the equilibrium. You all must remember, what did I tell you? If you forgot, let me remind you. Remember, we told you in that case, cardinal approach, MUX by PX equals to MUY by PY. Yes or no? So which we called later on as MUX by MUY. Oh, remember yes, last day's class. Cardinal approach to commodity world, law of equimarginal utility, Px by Py. This is to MRS. Acha. We got it, sir. We got it, sir. We remember, sir. Yes, sir. So where is the equilibrium achieved? Equilibrium is achieved when indifference curve and budget line just touch each other. Where is the equilibrium achieved? Where budget line and indifference curve touch each other, and that too tangent. That too in a tangent. What is a tangent? Tangent is like an orange line that you see here that will not go inside the curve. It will just touch the curve externally at one single point. Tangent एक external single point पर touch करके indifference curve को भाग जाएगा. Okay. Now let me ask you the questions. Let's see if you can answer this. I'm drawing a diagram, friends. Okay. Let's see how many of you are able to answer this. Okay. Now let me write it down for you. A, B, C, D, E, F. MCQ question is, which one of them following is the equilibrium point? Option A, it is B. Option B, it is C. Option C, it is D. And option D, it is E. Which one do you think is the equilibrium point? A, B, C, D, E, F. Which one of them? And why is it so? Come on, everybody. Waiting for your answer, friends. Absolutely. E. And you people are also stating the reason correct. Sir, E is the equilibrium point because it is the point of tangency. It is the point of tangency. And so your answer of point E is absolutely correct. My dear friends, now we will continuously solve some MCQs. I hope we are ready. I hope you are ready, sir. All right, sir. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and solve some MCQs. Let's see whether you are able to answer or not. And this is from Institute's material, this question, okay? An indifference curve. It is question number 36 of Institute's material. An indifference curve slopes downwards, right? Since more of one commodity and less of another results in A, same satisfaction, B, less satisfaction, C, greater satisfaction, D, none of above. What do you think is the answer, friends? What do you think is the answer, friends? Correct. So your answer is correct, friends, if you are telling us that they give same satisfaction, because an indifference curve, any point on indifference curve will always give same level of satisfaction. Any point on indifference curve will always give the same level of satisfaction. That's right. That's right. You people are absolutely correct. Because any point on the indifference curve, remember the two basic points, two key points. Point number one, any point on indifference curve, same level of satisfaction, as the other points, Similarly, any point on budget line, it will mean it will cost the same. It will cost the same. That is the answer. Acha, is that so, sir? Yes, sir. That is so. Let's hear it from the next one. Okay. Let's see. Again, another question from Institute's material. Okay. Question 115, by the way, for those that want to refer. You may not copy this. I am just copying from Institute's material. Okay. If this consumer, I am drawing the diagram. Okay. If this consumer is spending her entire income, and consuming at point B, what advice we give her? Now let me draw the diagram, because it's a diagram based question. Without diagram, you won't be able to draw any conclusion. Let me give you the diagram, friends. It is somewhat like this. Here, at B she is consuming. Okay, this is point K. Okay, then there is this IC2, then there is this IC3, etc. Now, what are the advices that we can give us? No advice. B. Achha, this is Y, this is X. You will tell her to consume more of X, less of Y. You will advise her to consume more of Y, less of X. Or D, consume same quantity of X and Y. What do you think you should advise her in the given circumstances? Come on, everybody, tell me. Tell me why. Yes, you should tell her, because see, she is consuming a lot more of Y and a lot less of X. So we could advise her to consume more of X and less of Y, because she is only focusing more on Y. So we would rather tell her to consume more of X and less of good Y. That is our advice to her. Consume more of good X and less of good Y. Acha. So that is what you are saying. Not more of Y. She is already consuming Y more. You will ask her to consume more of X, so that the quantity consumed of X also increases. Consume more of X and less of Y. Acha. Got it, sir. Because they are already purchasing a lot of that. Understood? Sir, we got it. Moving on, sir. Next question is mine. Suppose price of commodity X is rupees 20, price of commodity Y is rupees 4. What will be MUX by MUY equal to A 5, B 1 by 5, C 2, D 1 by 2. What do you think, guys, will be the answer? Come on, everyone. One of our friends is asking, sir, why not same X and Y? Here, why not same and X and Y is because we are not told about income. So we can only ask the consumer to move from Y. We don't have the other details, right? That's why. Okay, got it. So now you all know, and I have made you write this formula as well, everybody. Everybody, I have made you write this formula as well, that, if you write it down, MUX by MUY equals to PX by PY. That's right. So if you all look carefully, you all are absolutely correct when you say 20 by 4 and it is 5. That's correct. That's correct. Now moving on. Now moving on. Next question. Next question. The question is, which of the following is not an assumption of indifference curve analysis? Not an assumption. A, rational consumer. B, monotonic preferences. C, monotonic हो गया, C बताओ. Transitivity of choice. D. Utility is cardinal. Which one of them is the following that you think is not an assumption under indifference curve analysis? Not an assumption under indifference curve analysis. Mind you, I have written not an assumption. Not is an assumption. I told not an assumption. Correct. Correct. D. Utility is cardinal, because we assume utility to be ordinal. All of these at the very beginning of this class we studied were assumptions. Utility is cardinal, wrong. Utility is cardinal under the Marshallian approach. Under this approach, utility is assumed to be ordinal, not cardinal. And there you have it. Yes? Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Moving on, sir. Next question. Next question, let's hear it from you all. Okay, let's see whether you're able to answer this or not. Indifference curve is convex to the origin except when when MRS is constant. B, when the goods are perfect substitutes. C, when goods are perfect complements. D, all of above. The question is except, so it should not be convex to origin. In which of the following cases do you think? Except when? A good one, isn't it? A good question, yes or no? Come on, try it out. Pay attention, everyone. This is a tough one. I mean, not exactly tough. Very good. Sanchay, correct answer. Shruti, correct answer. Surya, correct answer. Lisa, correct answer. Kevin, correct answer. Swati, correct answer. So the answer is all of the above. That's right. All of the above. Why? Because when MRS is constant or the goods are perfect substitutes of one another, then the curve will be exactly like this. And if they are perfect complements of one another, the curve would be somewhat like this. So in both the cases, in all the three cases, it is not convex to the origin. And so all of the above is correct. All of them are exceptions. Understood, sir? Next question. Next question, please. Right? Utility, suppose I give you the question, total utility from 3 commodities is 80, total utility from 4 commodities is 90, right? And total utility from 5 commodity is 95. Or question A, please listen to the questions carefully. What will be marginal utility of 4? Option A, will it be 10, B 5, C 0, D -5? Okay. Question A, which law is the above data suggesting? Which law is the above data suggesting? What do you think? Which law do you study in the above data? Option A, law of demand, B, law of supply, C, law of DMU, diminishing marginal utility, D, law of variable proportions. Law of demand, law of supply, law of DMU, or law of variable proportion? Which law are you seeing? There are two questions, A and B. Acha, subparts we can write it like 1, 2, 3. We must not categorize as A, B, C, D again, obviously. Similarly here, 1, 2, again 3, and again 4. Come on everyone, let's hear it out. Okay. Okay. So pay attention. Now friends, if you move from MU4, you will see you're moving from 80 to 90. So it's increasing just by 10. It's increasing just by 10. There you are. There is your answer. Acha. Which law is the above data suggesting? You all are correct. This data is hinting at law of diminishing marginal utility. This data is yes, sir. Okay, sir. Correct. Law of DMU. Next question. Let's hear it from you all. For equilibrium in one commodity world, what approach should be used? A, cardinal, B, ordinal, C, both, D, none. What do you think? Which one? It is one commodity world. OCW here is one commodity world. Come on, friends. Come on, everyone. That's right. All of you have said, sir, what approach should be used? And that's right. Because only in cardinal approach, you have this kind of thing going on. Right? Next question, sir. Next question, sir. How if MU of first commodity is 20, MU2 is 30, MU2, okay, MU1 is 20, MU2 is 30, or let's say MU2 is 10, MU3 is 4. My question is, find TU3. What is it equal to? A 20, B 30, C 34, D 14. What do you think is the answer here, friends? What do you think is the answer here, friends? We are solving quite a lot of MCQs today, so make sure all of you are answering. Yes. Whenever you want to find total utility at a particular point now, just blindly add the marginal utilities up to that point. So 20, 10 and 4, just add them up. How much did you get? 34. How much did you get? 34. There it is. There lies your answer. There it is. There lies your answer. Yes, sir, we get it. Got it, sir. Got it. All right. Next question. Next question. Let's go about it. My question to you is, if we are in a two commodity world, how is equilibrium achieved in ordinal approach? A, point of tangency between budget line and x-axis. B, mux by px equals to muy by py. C, point of tangency of indifference curve and budget line. D, mux by px greater than muy by py. Remember, it's a two commodity world and you have to achieve equilibrium under ordinal approach, also called IC analysis. Come on, everybody, tell me, what do you think should be your answer? What do you think will be your answer? Option A, point of tangency between budget line and x-axis. B, mux by px equals to muy by py. Point of tangency between indifference curve and budget line, or mux by px greater than muy by py. Okay. Great. So you are absolutely correct when you say this one. Absolutely correct. Okay. Yes, sir. Now, another question. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Next question. If mux by px is less than muy by py, what advice would you give to the consumer? A, no advice, as already in equilibrium. B, purchase more of X, less of Y. C, purchase more of Y, less of X. D, all the above. What do you think will you advise the consumer if mux by px is less than muy by py? Come on. Will you ask the consumer to purchase more of X, more of Y, or you will say that nothing doing, you are already good? What do you think will you ask the consumer to do? See, here, what is giving more satisfaction? Y. What is giving more satisfaction? Y. So you will ask the consumer to consume more of Y. More of Y. You know, see, consumer to ask more of Y, because consumer is benefited by consuming Y. So ask them to purchase more of Y and less of X. Till what point? Till what point? Till mux by px equals to muy by Py. Because Y is giving more satisfaction. So Y will ask you will ask the consumer to consume X. Consumer is liking Y more and you are asking to buy X. Obviously, it will be asking them to buy more of Y, na? Yes, sir. Correct, sir. Correct, sir. Correct. Got it, sir. Now, my dear friends, let me draw for you a summary chart of understanding. Pay attention, everybody. Let's draw a summary chart for you. Here it is. Pay attention, everyone. I will draw it once more so that you people are able to understand everything. Okay? Here it is. See, as far as the equilibrium is concerned, there can be two cases. I am summarizing this entire chapter, unit 2. Okay, so there are two things here. You can either follow the cardinal approach, the famous cardinal approach, or you can follow the original or the new one, that is the ordinal approach, which is also called indifference curve analysis. If you talk about the founding fathers of the same, you will find out cardinal approach was given by Alfred Marshall. Okay, cardinal approach was given by Alfred Marshall. Ordinal approach was given by whom? Ordinal approach was given by Hicks and Allen. Right? After this, we move forward. Under cardinal approach, there can be two kinds of world. Under cardinal approach, there can be two kinds of world. There is a one commodity world, and then there is a two commodity world. Under one commodity world, equilibrium is achieved when price of the commodity becomes equal to marginal utility of the commodity. Under two commodity world, where is the equilibrium achieved, friends? Under two commodity world, that's right, you people are correct. When you say, sir, under two commodity world, equilibrium is achieved when MUX by PX equals to MUY by PY. That's right. And under ordinal approach, when is the equilibrium achieved? Under ordinal approach, remember, the equilibrium is achieved. First of all, there is no one commodity world here. So it's gone. There is nothing called one commodity world here. And here, it's only two commodity world. And how do you find out? The tangent, that is the budget line, should act as a tangent to what? To the indifference curve. The budget line should act as a tangent to the indifference curve. That is going to give you the equilibrium level. I hope it's crystal clear, friends. Yes or no? Come on. Yes. One more thing, friends, please remember, and I will make you revise that once more. It is so important. What is that, sir? The exception cases that we had drawn. Very important. That yes, normally indifference curve is yes, absolutely. Please remember, I believe you all have taken the screenshot of this particular extreme situations. Very important. Or you have noted it down. If not the screenshot, but you must have it in some form or the other. It's that important. Please have it. If you have not already taken it, please have it. Acha. Okay, sir. So now pay attention, guys. Now see, I will revise with you the extreme situation. See, normally the indifference curve is what? Convex. Convex means a shape like this to the origin. Why? Because of diminishing MRS. That's right. Because of diminishing MRS. But then there are two cases when it will not be merely convex to the origin. What are the two cases? Once when they are perfect substitutes of one another, and other when the fixed proportion is important. Like when the goods are perfect substitutes or when the goods are perfect complements. So when they are perfect substitutes, MRS will become constant, and so the curve will be a downward sloping line. This is the indifference curve, by the way. The same indifference curve. Extreme situation 1, when goods are exactly the substitutes of one another. Exact substitutes of one another. And case number 2, when fixed proportion is important. So left shoe is 1, then right shoe will be 1. If left shoe is 2, right shoe will be 2. If left shoe is 3, right shoe 4 will not matter, will not be useful, and hence this answer. And so we will make it in this format, IC1 and IC2. Sir, we have understood this. Guys, I hope every one of you have understood this. Yes or no? Yeah. Yes, sir. This is when they are perfect complement. So you will not want to have 3 left shoes and 4 right shoes. Come on, you won't want to do that. This is it. Acha, what does monotonic preferences mean? Monotonic preferences means you always want more. Monotonic preferences means more the better. The more commodities that you have, more it's better. Is that clear, friends? Yes, sir. So my dear friends, let me tell you, we have completed this unit as well. Chapter 2, Unit 2, Consumer Equilibrium is also over. In our upcoming day, we will move on to supply. And there it is. We wind up the day. Goodbye, everyone. See you for the day. Thank you very much. Tata.